Let me tell you how I grew up. Written and read by Martin Deakin. My mother had one of her regular as clockwork meltdowns when I told her about my first week at work on the forestry and timber team. "He did what?" she almost shrieked at me. "He made you work half of your lunch break? To make up for a mistake he should have warned you about better." The volume made my ears hurt, and I had to remind myself she was on my side. No wonder so many teachers had given up fighting her and let me get away with whatever I wanted. Even a few policemen and women had relented. "Yes, Mum," I confirmed. "And he makes you call him Mr. Price, not Wynne?" "That's right," I said, leaving out the part where he had said that would only last until we'd proven ourselves. "And worst of all," her voice rose to a crescendo. "And worst of all," her voice rose to a crescendo, and I took a step back. "He let you fall out of the tree and land on the ground. You could have broken your back. Or your skull. You were limping when you got back home." I had been limping, but only once she could see me from the kitchen window. It had hurt my back and shoulder for a couple of hours after, but I hadn't dared limp in front of Price. Or forget my safety harness again. "He's the foreman. He's responsible for your safety. I'm not putting up with this." Then I delivered my lay-up pass. I thought she was going to faint from blood loss, her face got so red. "You're not serious? He actually said to you, 'You're a great soft mummy's boy and useless to me until you toughen up,' did he? Well, we'll see how tough he is picking on kids." Of course, she didn't care about what he did to the kids, the other apprentices. It was just me she wanted to defend. And I'd used some artistic license. Price never said as many words as that in one go. Never. Even with her face screwed up in fury, my mum is still an attractive woman. After Dad didn't make it through the chaos, and we found ourselves at Mount Somers, I wondered if she'd find a man to make her happy. But she drove away all the good ones, with her constant criticising, and the wimps wimped out until she threw them away like the damp dishcloths they were. So, she made me take her to where he lived. It was Friday evening, and he was sitting outside his caravan, having dinner with his two boys, on a folding camping table. She walked right up and laced straight into him. "What the hell do you think you're doing, telling my son he's useless and having him fall out of trees, injuring himself? You have no right. If you don't..." And that was as far as she got. Now, I've heard men tell my mum to shut up before. And women. Some right dragons too, with reputations just as scary as hers. They thought they could fight fire with fire, shout just as loud as her, or even louder. Outgun her, like she'd done with so many before. And they all fell, crushed by her indomitable will. Price put his cutlery down and looked at each of his sons before turning to Mum, who was in full flow. He didn't need words. He gave her this look, like she was an irritating bee or some buzzing insect that needed to be brushed away. Or maybe it was more like a fly that he was going to swat if it didn't soon move away. What he didn't do, what had been fatal for countless opponents before him, was argue back. Without using a single syllable, he showed her he didn't give a fig about her or her loud mouth. That took the wind out of her sails. She hesitated, and that's when he spoke. "I'm having dinner with my sons." He gave a nod to one of his boys, who knew what he wanted without telling. He moved his plate to the empty space at the table and waved my mum to his chair. Then he took the folding chair his son brought out from the caravan and sat down. Mum swallowed. She actually swallowed, and I knew things weren't going to go my way at Forestry and Timber. He turned around to me. "Go home," he said in a voice you didn't argue with. Later that night, I heard noises coming from my mum's room I'd never heard before. I wrapped my head up in my duvet to drown them out. They sounded like a storm wind that was going to blow away everything in its path, leaving everything fresh, new, and clean. Or maybe a spring tide that empties the beach of everything on it, leaving it bare and untrodden. In the morning, I heard a man peeing in the toilet. Price came out just in his shreddies. God, he looked impressive. Muscles everywhere. He said, "Where are the tea bags?" And that's how I grew up. And I'm telling you about it because you'll be useless to me on Forestry and Timber until you do too.